Hello, hello, and welcome back to the channel. As most of you know, I'm Topher, and for those of you who don't know and just randomly decided to click on my video, welcome to the channel. I'm Topher. Thank you for stopping by. So we're here to do a reaction. We're diving back into the Untamed. We're diving into episode 4. I didn't have any real plans of recording anything today, but I got finished with some stuff early. I had planned to go to the gym. I did that. I had some things around the house I wanted to just get tidied up. I did that. And I'd planned to just like try and decide on music for a gig that I have Friday, and then get that music edited down together in one nice medley. And I figured that was going to take a lot longer than it would have because I'm terribly indecisive and I had like 15 possible songs I could go through. But after singing through a few of them, I'm like, okay, no, this is my medley, doom doom. So it took me a lot less time than I was anticipating, and now I have like 2 hours, hour 45 minutes left until I have to start getting ready for work. So I figured, why not just dive into an episode of something? I was debating whether to dive into this or back into Teddy Bear or into My School President, but I want to dive into this one because there's just one more thing I want to clear up or clarify, because in my reaction to episode 3, if you saw it, then you would have seen where, just clarified some confusions and things that were happening in the channel. But there was one comment that I made, or one comment that I featured in my clarifications and whatnot, that it seems to have hurt some feelings. So I thought about responding to the comments in the actual comment section, but there are certain things that I just prefer to address in my videos because I feel like some people don't always go down to the comment section or don't always reply to certain things, and B, I feel like without an actual voice saying things, sometimes words can just be left up to whatever context the reader wants to put the words into. So I'd rather, like, hey, you can hear my voice and along with my words, so you know where these words are coming from and things just won't get misconstrued. So there was one of my commenters, Leah, whose comment I wasn't necessarily featuring. I was referencing Clara, who was responding to Leah's comment. Leah's comment just happened to be tied up in the middle of all of that, and as such got shown, and she thought that I was specifically targeting her or attacking her or something like that. So I just want to clarify that that was not my intent. That was not my intent. My intent was not to call Leah out or attack Leah specifically or anything like that publicly and make this big. Like that was not my intent. Because if I have no problem calling people out, so if I wanted to call her out, I would have called her out by name and probably had a whole lot more things to say or something. Like if it was my intent to call her out, then I would have. Y'all will know when I call you out. I've done it on the channel before with people who are rude and just not very, very nice, and they needed to be put in their place. But Leah, for the most part, wasn't rude or anything in the comment section. So like, me showing that comment wasn't necessarily to call her out. I was just trying to call out Clara in a good way. Say, hey, Clara, it's someone who pays attention to my channel and the videos and the things that I put out there, because Leah was not the only person. She just happened to have the misfortune of her comment being tied to Clara's comment, where Clara basically said everything that I would love to say. But Leah was by no means the only person, because I got it in that comment section for episode 2, I got it in comment sections for episode 1, and then I would get it in my DMs. I would get it in just about every video that I posted that was not related to the Untamed ever since I reacted to Untamed episode 2. Basically just, okay, when's the next episode of Untamed coming? So you're getting to the Untamed, people not even watching the videos they're commenting on, just coming to comment about the Untamed, and terribly frustrating. So yes, Leah, not the only person. Her comment just happened to get tied up in the example that I was showing. So apologies there. I'm not trying to call out Leah. I'm not trying to attack anything like that. It's just Clara made very valid points that I've mentioned a number of times, hell, a year ago, back in March. So, it's been about a year. I made an entire update video addressing this about people rushing me and this, that, the other, similar situation. So just a year later, I don't know what it is about the springtime that gets people all chomping at the bit, but it is what it is. So that inclusion of that screenshot of the comment was not an attack on Leah. Again, it was just me saying, hey, Clara pays attention. And yeah, that. So again, apologies if feelings got hurt. It was not my intent. Yeah. So if you accept the apology, yay. If not, then okay. Such is life. But yeah, just wanted to clear that up. I was not trying to attack anybody. If I was trying to attack somebody, trust me, you would feel the attack. But that's not my intent. There was something else I wanted to clear up too, but I don't remember what it was. I went to bed last night. Was like, okay, whenever you get around to recording, there's 2 things you want to talk about. I can't remember what the second thing is. It must not have been important. If it was important, it'll pop up in my head again. But yeah, just wanted to sort of set that record straight before we got into this. Now everyone should be on the same page, and we're gonna dive into episode 4 and just see where things go. I know some of you guys were like, hey, I know you said like we're gonna be in this flashback sequence for like 10-15 episodes, but it's really 30. And like when I said that last episode, I remembered you guys putting in the comment section like we're gonna be in this flashback for like 25-30 episodes, but I was just thinking or hoping or optimistically like, you know what, maybe they clicked the wrong number. Maybe instead of a 3 they meant to hit a 2 or something, or maybe they were just over exaggerating, because like I do that all the time. I'll over exaggerate numbers, 7 billion, this, that, like, so like maybe that was just it. But no, you guys were very adamant to let me know that it's not a 10-15 episode flashback. We in this flashback for a long time, girl. So we're in the flashback for a long time. So we're going to continue our way through the flashback and just see where the things go with this flashback. Oh, okay, that is my alarm in case I did not wake up on time. Like, that literally could have been anybody. That could have just been the campground's chef or something. I don't know. Obviously it's not a campground and I don't think there's a chef, but like, you know what I mean? That could have just been any random person like, hey, what's going on here? Hey, have you seen so-and-so? And then he just retaliates by, hey, let me slop your head off. Like, girl. But I get it. It's tough out here in these streets. You can't trust nobody. So I get it. One thing I like about this series, and I feel like I said similar things with Word of Honor and a couple other series I've reacted to on this channel, Manner of Death. Like, I like that even without the idea of romance and ships and all that kind of stuff in this series, it's still just a good series. So even if I didn't know that there's supposed to be some love connection between Zhan and Wuxia, even if I wasn't over here shipping Mr. Flute Man and Mr. Lita Love Child, like, even if I wasn't making all these ships and whatnot, like, the series is just entertaining. It's just good on its own. It stands on its own without the romance. So once the romance comes in the picture, it's like, oh, I love this even more. But it's just a good, and we're only 4 episodes in, but it's just an entertaining series on its own. There's so much world building. There's so many great aspects of it. Again, I can't praise the soundtrack enough because I love it, love, and I love the variety of background musics that we get. It's not all just the same thing, same instrument, whatnot. We've got all kinds of stuff. It's just so great. Cinematography is beautiful, obviously. The amount of bone structure in this cast is insane. Like, how are there that many bones in China? Like, goodness, there's so many angles on all the faces, and I'm like, Lord Jesus, goodness me. But yeah, there's just so much entertaining about the series that without the romance, it's still just a good series, and I like that aspect of it. So we got to, and I'm just bouncing all around the episode because, well, that's the way my brain works. We got to meet the Wen, the Wen clan in general, like in full, when they showed up to the cloud recesses late, and they're like, hey, where's your invitation? And they're like, bitch, what you mean invitation? Death choke or force choke. but with fire force choke. And I'm like, baby, calm down. He just asked. And then she rolls up like, hey, Master told me to investigate covertly. Can you please calm the fuck down? Please stop blowing our cover, please. We're not even in yet. Calm the fuck down. So then they show up in the middle of the presentation part of the ceremony and cause a ruckus. And it's just Lord. But where I was going with that is we met the one brother who was resurrected back in episode 2 when Xian was playing the flute. Again, bad with names. Names will set in eventually. But I remember a lot of you guys in the comment section like, wait until Topher realizes that this one is actually just the biggest, softest cinnamon roll in the entire series. And I'm like, okay, I'm interested to see how that works out, because all I saw from him was just this big hulking muscle zombie man with hair flowing in the wind, looked like he could just break your back. And I'm like, oh, okay, what you doing? But looking very menacingly. So when you guys were like, he's actually just the biggest cinnamon roll in the world, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, this is before we jumped into a flashback. I was sitting here thinking, is Wuxian gonna like tame him with this flute, and we're just gonna have this like cinnamon roll zombie man rolling around? Because I'm like, I'm fine with that idea. That's cute. I'm here for it. But this makes a lot more sense. We're flashing back to when he was alive, and he was a cinnamon roll while he was alive. And just even before he opened his mouth, had any interactions, just seeing his face before I made the connection as to who he was, I'm like, sweet boy. Like I already had that inclination to just start calling him sweet boy. And then we started to see some more of his interactions. I'm like, oh, isn't this little cinnamon roll precious? And then I mentally made the connection. I was like, oh wait, I've seen this face. That's his face. I'm like, oh, that's a cinnamon roll. So y'all know I love me a good little cinnamon roll. I love me a bakery full of cinnamon rolls. So I'm excited to see more of him. When I can't remember her name, but the Wen sister lady, when she started roaming the campgrounds and throwing her needles, I'm like, okay, I get the idea of what her plan is right now. She's kind of testing the boundaries to see where the shield ends, blah blah blah. Maybe see if there's not necessarily if there's some way to penetrate it, but I guess just to see how far the boundaries stretch, potentially for an invasion that might happen later in the series or some other shenanigans. But just testing the boundaries. So let's see what else happened. I really enjoyed that last just classroom scene that was happening with just the group of them in the classroom, and the Master Lan is sitting here giving his lecture. Because it kind of shifted my perspective on Wuxian, because at first I'm seeing him and I'm like, understanding he's a child, teenager, whatever it is, so he's spirited, we'll say. He's spirited, he's rambunctious, and order, structure, and following the rules is not necessarily the thing that works for him. So I was sitting here thinking the whole time, by the whole time I mean the last 3 episodes, because that's all we've gotten to, but I'm like, okay, he's just one of those people who he doesn't like rules, this, that, the other. I'm like, okay, I've taught those people, Lord, I've taught those people. Teacher, that they know how to work your nerve, but it's like, ugh. But then in that scene, when he's sitting here causing mayhem and mischief, I'm like, baby, you were doing so well. It's one thing for you to sleep in class. It's not great. It's not a great look, but at least you're not causing the scene. But now you're passing notes and slapping things on the teacher's back, and I'm like, oh, baby, I need you to calm down, chill, please. So when that happened, and the teacher's like, hey, okay, I'm gonna start giving you a quiz. What's the difference between this, that, and the other? And he's just like, bam, 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 bam. I'm like, okay. He's not someone who just has an issue with authority or something like that. He's one of those very smart children who is bored because he's not being challenged. He's not having anything to really get his brain pumping, to get him thinking, to get him having to do this kind of stuff. So he's just sitting in class, bored out of his mind. He's like, I already know this. I've already seen this. Not to say that he knows everything, because obviously there's lots of rules and stuff that he doesn't know. But like, he's sitting in class bored because like, I've learned this. I know this. What else? And when you have idle hands or the devil's playground, that's one thing my grandmother always used to say. So it's like he's bored out of his mind, so his hands are idle, and he's just gonna start doing things, causing all kinds of shenanigans. I'm like, okay, that's a different perspective. He doesn't just dislike authority. He's bored. He's seeking adventure. He's seeking a challenge. He's seeking something to, just satiate that appetite, because smart kids tend to want more things. Not necessarily saying you got to give them more homework or give them hard, but like, they don't like to stay idle. They don't like to stay bored. So that's what's happening. And I've tutored a number of, like, there's so many of my friends' kids who've like, they're getting like C's and D's in whatever class, and their parents don't understand, because it's like they're really, really smart and they can do this. They pass all the tests. They're just not doing the homework, this, that, the other. It's because they're bored. They don't do the homework because they don't want to, because they're bored. So then their grade slips. It's not that they're incapable. They're just bored out of their damn mind and they don't want to do the stuff. So it's like you have to find some other way to reach them, or to encourage them, to motivate them to, keep focused. So that seems to be a part of Wuxian's mental makeup. I'm like, okay, that's a nice little piece to keep in the back of my mind as we're going through this. But I like that whole conversation because it was a way to engage Wuxian, because you saw he's like, hey, I have a question. Like, the entire time that we've seen him at this retreat or whatever, it's been him breaking rules, sleeping in class, being bored out of his mind with anything formal that's happening, and then him having fun going fishing and doing all this other kind of stuff. But anything that's like related to the actual formal, hey, this is what we're here to do, what we're here to learn, he's been bored out of his mind. This is the first time we saw him like, hey, engage, I have a question, conversation. It's his learning style. That's how he learns. He's not I'm going to look at a book and read this stuff. And some people are that kind of, Zhan, very much that's that type of learner. Wuxian is not. That's not how his brain is made up. He's not necessarily I'm going to sit here and do rote memorization and just read this book and can learn that way. He needs some sort of activity. He needs some sort of activity. So I like that sort of conversation that we're having, even though the conversation started to go south with a quickness. And he's like, hey, I got a secret fourth method. What if we just dug up all the dead people and we used their souls to fight this one ghost? Like, no, not no necromancy. Don't you come out here desecrating all the grave. And the teacher's like, excuse me, no, not in my house. And he starts throwing everything he can find at Wuxian. I'm like, baby, stop talking. And you can see big sis over here like, girl, if you don't sit the fuck down, please stop talking. And big brother's like, oh my god, I can't believe it. The whole clan is gonna get kicked out of this because he's out here wilding, Lord. But then, teacher man was like, posed this other question. Or no, that was the same question. And that was the back and forth between Zhan, teacher man, and Wuxian, and then we're throwing stuff and all that kind of stuff, and then we finally just kick his ass out of class, and then we send Zhan after him to take him to the library and start, writing, I will not raise the dead 1,000 times, or whatever, on the script. It was fun. It was a fun scene. It was nice to see, again, another sort of compare and contrast the different styles of learning, different mentalities on how to approach the same situation. And I liked how the teacher was even in that situation after he called on Zhan. He's like, not even one word of what he said was wrong. But we don't want to be as stone cold hard as this. At least that's what I took out of it. I'm going to watch it again. I might have misinterpreted, or I may not have read everything correctly there. But what I got out of watching it the first time through was him basically saying everything he said was right, technically right. But we don't want to be that far on the spectrum either, where it's like we are just cold, clinical, and by the rules. Like, there's a balance between this crazy little boy's world over here and this strict little boy's world over here. There's a balance, and we got to find that delicate balance. That's what I was taking out of it. And if that is what he was saying, I like that. If that's not what he's saying, well, I'm writing it into the narrative. And then we ended with Xian meeting up with the little Wei brother, showing him, talking archery and just making nice, which leads me to believe this is the start of a friendship for the two of them. And I'm assuming that friendship is going to lead to Wuxian's reputation being drugged through the mud later down in the series, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. But all in all, another great episode. Thoroughly enjoyed, and I'm excited to see where this flashback continues to take us. But I hope you guys enjoyed this reaction. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, turn on notifications, be notified when all my shenanigans get posted. If you... I don't know what I was saying. I was in the middle of my speech, but I was also thinking about how much time I have to get ready before I gotta go to work. So I'm just gonna say bye. Love you guys. Bye. And before you guys go, I want to give a huge thank you to everyone supporting me over on Patreon. This channel would not be what it is today without your continued support, and I can't begin